colleagues to come in, but thank you so much for taking the time to join us this afternoon. I'm very excited to see you all. Thank you for being here. Well, good afternoon once again. It's good to see you all. I know more of our colleagues will join us, but to honor your time and the time of our special guest this afternoon, we're gonna get started. This is me right here, Ernesto Vela. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services for the Monterey County Office of Education, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to our Community of Practice monthly meeting for all of our phenomenal CCSPP grantees from across 6 counties, Ventura, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, Monterey County, Santa Barbara, did I mention Santa Barbara? San Benito and Santa Cruz. We are thrilled to be learners alongside all of you. And so we're going to get started. And so Jennifer, if you help me go on to the next slide, please. Certainly it's important to us to take attendance and document that you're all participants in this network. And so if you would take a moment, either by using the QR code here on the screen, or I believe we also have the link on the chat. If you would kindly take a moment to sign in, log your attendance, so that we make sure that we give you credit for being at this session. Okay, we can go on to the next slide. As I mentioned, I'm very honored to be part of a phenomenal team here at the Monterey County Office of Education. It's important for all of you to know, very much so, like your superintendents, your boards, and your county superintendents, that we as well have the support of our county superintendent, Dr. Deneen Gus. She is a champion for student success, ensuring that we do all we can to ensure that our children are successful. And now being part of a regional technical assistance to all of you, she has very high expectations of us, providing the highest quality service to all of you. And so certainly hold us accountable to that. That is our goal, with a phenomenal team of coordinators that I'll take a moment to introduce. But before doing that, I want to double check that my teammate, close teammate, Dr. Ralph Porras, our deputy superintendent, I don't see him here. If you are Ralph, you're welcome to unmute yourself and say hello, but I don't see you. But definitely I want to send a shout out to Dr. Ralph Porras. He's our deputy superintendent, my colleague and teammate in this work and supporting our RTAC team. And Ralph, as we are equally committed to ensuring that we do the very best that we can to support you all. And of course, none of this would be possible without the phenomenal RTAC team of the Central Coast. They are Ashley Selk, and she supports the Santa Cruz and Ventura counties. Herminia Cervantes supporting Monterey. Dr. Jennifer Sahari supporting San Benito and San Luis Obispo, and Junue Saruk supporting Santa Barbara. And I can tell you that they work tirelessly to not only build their own capacity, but they have your interest in mind in every turn that we take. And I know they've had very successful on-site visits. They constantly communicate with you via email, via phone. So continue to connect with them, to tap into their knowledge and expertise. We are here to serve all of you. Thank you. Okay, we can move on to the next one. Certainly, every time that we get together, it's important to remind us that we are a community of practice, a community of learners. And to that end, we propose before you 5 norms that we invite you to practice. The number 1 is to share the air, and that means to make space, to take space, to use the chat and the reaction buttons. Certainly process what you're learning. There's no out of bounds questions. There's no silly questions. This is the time and space for us to learn and to challenge one another. The next one is that we are all here to learn. We all teach and learn. No one's an expert by any means, but collectively we know that we have a high level of knowledge and awareness. Choose curiosity over judgment. There might be elements of our learning where you're not completely, on board or agreement or so forth. Let's seek to understand and support one another. And that's important, that we listen and we embrace this opportunity to learn. Definitely take care of yourself. I know we were just talking before coming online that I know the Zoom exhaustion may be starting to bear on us. I raise my hand and say, yeah, I'm kind of zoomed out. So we do our very best to make these sessions interactive, to make them as engaging as we possibly can. But please take time to take care of yourself. If it means, turning off your camera to take a nice chug of water, go for it. Definitely can do that. And finally, let's support and respect one another. Again, we're all here to learn. Let's be vulnerable and admitting what we don't learn, what we don't know, and definitely practicing compassion and encouragement to one another. Thank you. The purpose of our session today is all about sharing best practices. We have tremendous guests that will be sharing their learning and their journey with us, and that's the Anaheim Unified High School District and the panel that will be here to present. And so that's the main goal today, to learn from them, to cultivate these relationships, with parents, as our topic today is all around engagement. We all know that the CCSPP work is grounded on the inclusion of parents and students and the broader community. So today we are to hear from the field, our colleagues and friends from Anaheim, as to what is working for them. And so that's what we're here today. And alongside that, learning to foster relationships among all of us. We strive that at any point you can pick up the phone and call anyone on the screen and say, hi, this is Ernesto from Monterey. We met on this session. Can I tap into your knowledge? I heard you share an awesome idea at the community of practice. Can I learn a little bit more from you? We certainly hope that we develop that trust among us to be able to be a phone call away. So with that, I would like to now turn it over to our colleague, Herminia Cervantes, who's going to go over the agenda for this afternoon. Herminia.
So again, welcome everyone. For those of you that are either planning or implementation year one, I know some of us might be in that position, so we are probably a little tired from the reporting and the fiscal reporting. So thank you so much for taking time of your day for being here. We really appreciate it. A little preview of our agenda. So we're gonna do building community, really focusing on getting to know each other. We're also going to build capacity and learn from other great resources across the state that are doing amazing things with community schools. And then we're just going to have a moment to reflect. Next slide, please. As always, so we want to start off with our introduction activity. So first of all, if you could write in the chat something that you are thankful for. It could be family, it could be work, but just given the season that Thanksgiving was last week, what is something that you're grateful for? And if you want to include your name and where you're from, whether Monterey, San Luis Obispo, and then what you are grateful for. And I will go ahead and read some of those responses. So we have some people from Paso Robles. Welcome. Dr. Vela, he is thankful for colleagues that started building relationships. I'm grateful for family health. We have someone that is grateful for community school coordinator. And then also pets are really important.
I have an appointment with Dr. Caputo, but I don't remember
We have other people that are joining, thankful for time with their family. Yes, that's always really important. Dedicated staff. So thank you all for sharing. If I can get the next slide, please. So as always, we want to ground ourselves in the CCSPP framework and really think about why we are doing the things that we're doing. Because again, it all goes back to that framework that we are all, maybe some of us are familiar with, some of us a little bit more. But for today's session, in regards to the pillars, we are really going to focus on active family and community engagement. And in terms of the cornerstone commitments, we're going to focus on cornerstone commitment number 4, which is shared decision-making and participatory strategy practices. So again, that's going to be the focus of our work today. Next slide, please. As we continue the community school work, remember to keep that CCSPP framework in mind. But we also wanted to start introducing the capacity building strategies. As you may know, there are 9 capacity building strategies. And we thought that today's session is really centered around collective priorities. Number 2, which is collective priorities, goal setting, and taking action. The reason why we feel that's the priority or the capacity that best ties into today's session is because we really want to create authentic engagement, not only from our parents that are always at our meetings, not only from our ASD students, but really engaging families and students that may sometimes not always have a seat at the table. So we really want to focus around that strategy today. And again, you may be either in the visioning, engaging, and transforming. Some of us might be in the visioning, and that's great. So visioning would be we're starting to explore how we're doing this. Engaging would be we are creating LEA and school level planning to really engage in this strategy. And transforming would be we are implementing the community school strategy, and we're really transforming the way we meet the goal setting and taking action. Again, if you are in the visioning stage, that is perfectly fine. We are here to grow and learn from each other. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Ashley.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am so grateful to have Anaheim Union High School District here today to share the wonderful work that they've been doing. Our team had an opportunity to visit them and take part in their learning lab, and it was truly transformative. I know those grantees that we've been talking to out in the field have heard us talk about how wonderful Anaheim is. So without further ado, I'm going to let them go ahead and take over screen sharing. You should have access to do that. And you're in for a real treat, that's for sure.
Wow, Ashley, thank you so much. Man, I feel the love. Thank you so very much, and good afternoon, everyone. Again, thank you for allowing us to be a part of your community of transformational practice space. And so thank you. My name is Carlos Hernandez. I'm the Director of Community Schools and Family Community Engagement for the Anaheim Union High School District. With me are Manager of Family Community Engagement, Araceli Chavez, and Manager of Community Schools is Kenny Perez. And you'll hear from the 3 of us all in a very short time span. I love the fact that your focus today is on the collective priorities, one of the 9 capacity building strategies, and identifying the collective priorities and what is it that is going to drive your work, because it takes time. It takes time, but we also know, yay, congratulations, we got the grant. And the time is ticking, and hurry up and let's develop it. And how do you sustain it after the grant leaves, right? All of that, thinking happens all at once. And so we're going to share some of the things that we've learned through our journey. And so go ahead and go to the next slide. Just a little bit about who we are in Anaheim Union, 21 schools. And so to help understand, that Disneyland is in the shadows, or we're in the shadows of Disneyland, but it certainly isn't, what the real OC in the city of Anaheim is about. Let me focus on, our students and our families beautiful people. I grew up here, went to school in this district. Kenny did as well. Araceli did as well. Still lives in the community. We have kids in the district, Araceli and I. Amazing community, knowing that there are some strengths, amazing strengths, knowing also that we have to be mindful of these needs. We serve a socioeconomically disadvantaged community of 81% of our students and families, right? 22% English learners and rising, with the influx of migrants and folks that are coming in needing, to find a place. And we're open, our home is open arms, just like you all have. So we have a spectrum of comprehensive schools, alternative education schools, special education school, a virtual school, and this is who we are. We do have homeless students, 901, and so that just gives you an idea as to how, and we're going to talk through this idea of community schools. Community schools isn't something that is only happening on Monday, and we talk about teaching and learning on Tuesday, and we talk about something else on Wednesday. It needs to be integrated, and you need to think about, how it's going to be sustaining. And you're not starting at zero, which is why we want to, show and share in the collective journey that has already begun in your neck of the woods and our neck of the woods. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So of the 21 schools, we have 15 schools that have received California Community School Partnership Program grant. 2 years ago, we got 13 schools funded. Last year, we got 2 funded. And, round 3 just opened up. So we're going to be applying for the remainder of the schools because we are all in for community schools. $23 million in funding. And we have, again, we believe, and as we talk about the district and our board is behind this approach and this work, we are a community school district. And that is something that we are proud of to talk about, because although those other 6 schools have yet to receive that funding, we still believe in, and go ahead, Kenny, in this aspirational home. This really puts it together in terms of our aspiration for every single school, in that this is a community school around our aspirational vision, around a full integration of everyone and every program. Everyone's a part of the community school, from counselors to custodians, to the teacher, to the administrator, to the community member, the parent, the student. It's cross-curricular. It's across schools, depending on the strengths in each community. It's across the city, in partnership with the city, in partnership with community-based organizations. And so that's the aspiration. So how do we get there? Or what have we done to move in that direction? We want to be able to share some best practices with you to engage, as the focus is on engagement, and not only our families. I just want to honor, the students that are experts in the audience, in the room, in the classroom, outside of the classroom, the neighbors, the community businesses, the partners, and so forth. So go ahead, Kenny. So the point that we want to make, and I know that there's a time is ticking for the grant, but it does take time. And there's a lot of a timeline here. I just want to, you don't have to read it because it's very small. The point here is it has taken us 15 years to build the journey that we've built, and we're still on that journey. We still have not met that aspirational goal, right? So everything from what is institutionalized, what's sustainable, how do you using your LCAP to sustain the work? How do we think about community schools now, knowing that in 4.5 years, or for some, maybe 5.5 years, that funding will be gone? What will be remaining? And again, that journey, it takes time to build, but again, you're not starting at zero. So give yourself credit for that work that you already are doing. So here's what we want to do. We want to break open with you and to figure out 4 entry points that we want to think about, that you're on that journey. Or I want you to think about and reflect, if that journey has yet to be started, how can you get there? Or if you've started on step 1, how can you move forward to create that systemized way? These are the 4 entry points, 4 things we want to talk and share with you. The vision, mission, and core values. How and where are you with your why? Is there clarity in your vision? Is there clarity in your vision for your district, your core values for each site? Does the site and the district know who you are, right? Because that is going to lead you to create systems that are aligned to that clarity of identity, that clarity of vision, which is entry point number 2, systems and structures. Student-centered is at the heart of the work. And there's a misunderstanding at times for some folks that community schools, oh yeah, it's the services, it's family engagement. Yes, 100%. But where is the student? Because we're in the business of helping our students thrive, right? So focusing on teaching and learning is part of that work. So how is the student centered in the work that you're doing? Regardless of whether it's community schools, regardless of whether it's, MTSS, the work that we're doing is centered around the student. And so we want to talk about that and that engagement of our students. And then building trust and relationships, although that's the last one, it starts with building that trusting relationship. And so those are the entry points that we're gonna share in a very succinct way, we hope. All right, we're moving on to myself. All right. So entry point number 1. So vision, mission, and core values. We have a partner that we've been working with almost 10 years now that has helped us understand the importance of our why. And that's Inflection. Inflection shares this idea that when a community shares a clear identity and vision for readiness, right? That's our vision, mission, core values. Then those things can be clearly aligned with our systems and structures, right? So step 1 is your vision clear? Is your mission clear? Is it just a poster on the wall? Are your core values, are we owning those? Do we talk about it? Do we bring it in to our professional learning, to our meetings, to the board meeting? How and where are you in your journey in the mission and vision and core values? Next slide. As I was principal at Savannah High School, actually this is the school where Araceli graduated from. And back in 2011, and actually before then, we were working hard. Our teachers working hard, our counselors working hard before 2011. But the focus was all over the place, really. The focus was on those traditional metrics. We were program improvement. Remember that? Program improvement year 5 or year 6. We were working hard, but it was just defeat after defeat because our aspirational goal was focused on that test score, that API score. And so bringing this process in to a re-envisioning process with 200 community members made up of students and parents at the table with teachers, at the table with classified employees, at the table with community members, we asked a simple question. In 2011, we asked, what do we want our school to look like in 5 years, in 10 years, in the future? And so instead of saying, gosh, we're not doing this, or we're not doing that, or we're scores are this, or our students are that, we asked, sky's the limit. What do you want our school to look like? Sky's the limit. And so that future protocol helped us understand that families wanted our students to thrive outside of the classroom. Our students wanted experience with industry partners. Our teachers wanted to help them get there, right? Our community businesses said, I want to partner with students and mentor them, right? Those examples and ideas helped flesh out our vision at every one of our schools. I talked about Savannah because I was principal there when we did this, but that's what we did at every one of our school and has been. And so as we go to the next slide, that helped our district design, Kenny, there it is. Oh, excuse me. Thank you. The vision statement for Savannah High School, which is this, right? That helped us, and again, every one of our schools went through that process of future protocol, which helped design the district's vision centered around creating a better world through unlimited you. And then this helped us design, well, what do we value in our community based on that process of future protocol? How do we ensure we know how to get there in that vision and mission? And these core values we talk about every single time we're in front of folks, students, parents, staff, community businesses. I was just with City of Anaheim yesterday, and we were talking about these values because this is what brings people together. We tug at their hearts and we say we need to work in systems and not silos, right? Assets-based approach, working around the 5 C's, which we'll talk about. So your vision, your mission, your core values should be clear. It should be talked about. It should be experienced and reflected around constantly. And that's our entry point number 1. And Kenny, I think you're going to take over from here.
I am. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to be with you here virtually, although I would 100 times prefer to be somewhere in Monterey County with you guys because it's so beautiful out there. So my name is Kenny Perez. I am the manager of community schools at your service. So we talk about alignment and we talk about cohesion here in our district and how community schools is not one more thing, right? And so when we talk about community schools here, it comes down to this. It's a safe place at the heart of our community where our students, staff, and families are all connected. And that's the key word. We're connected in this work together to expand the opportunities that address the needs of the whole child, so that all students can thrive and they can realize their unlimited potential. As you can see, we have this visual here that we use at every place that we meet, whether it's SLTs meetings here or meetings here at the district office or school site meetings or our community school steering committee. We remind ourselves that at the core of everything that we do are our students and the thriving students. And in order for that to happen, we have to have our families, our community, our school coming together in an environment where we're asset-based, where there's mutual trust and there's collaboration. And so these values that Carlos talked about, they all support this work and they all ensure that we are creating this environment for all of our educational partners here at AUHSD. And so I know by now, all of you know about the 4 pillars of community schools. Carlos Araceli and I have this matching tattoos on our back of the 4 pillars. Maybe some of you do. I don't know. We can talk about that later. But I wanted to share about how these 4 pillars have been really integrated into the work that we're doing. It's enhancing the great work that's already happening and honoring that, right? And then moving forward, how can we make it better? Again, connected together as a community. When we think about community schools, to no one's fault, this is the first thing we think of. And for those outside of education, outside of maybe the CCSPP, they think that integrated systems of support is it. It's what systems of support can we bring our students, whether it's vision, medical, dental, and all those are very important, right? If we're thinking of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, yes, it's important for our students to learn in the classroom, but how can we get them here? And so for us, this means that we are finding the right partners that really meet the needs of our families. And so and so it's finding the right partners to meet the needs, but not the needs that we assume, but the needs that have been highlighted and have surfaced through the very comprehensive needs and assets process that we have taken a part of this here as a district, and that we continue to do as we move forward in this work. And so yes, very important to be able to bring our students onto our campus and to keep them here, the integrated systems of support. But this is, for us, it's about finding the right partners. I know that many of you might have experienced this. We received millions of dollars in funding, and then we have partners that maybe in the past haven't charged and now are looking for funding. That's conversations that we have, and very courageous conversations that we need to have, because at the end of the 5 years, the funding is going to eventually dry out. And so what's going to happen when it's gone? So we need to make sure that we have a very sustainable lens as we think about the integrated systems that we have here on our campuses. Authentic family community engagement. We are blessed with the school board that firmly believes in bringing in our families as partners. And this is work that has happened for many years. It's evidence in the establishment of family and community engagement specialists at each one of our school sites, a full-time position that is there to connect with our families, to build trust. And so this is work, again, that we continue to anchor in on that. It's not separate. When we talk community schools, family and community engagement is not something that's done separately. It's a part of it. It can't happen without our partners, our families being there as co-creators and as partners for us. So one of the practices that we have here is we really double down on that dual capacity building framework from Dr. Karen Mapp. And so we really anchor our practices around that of seeing our families as co-creators, of having them be a part of the planning process, not just invited to the party, but being part of the party planning committee, right? So that's family engagement for us. And I know Araceli is going to talk a little bit about what that looks like as far as the systems and structures, and expand a little bit on that later. And again, just, a reminder for us that we need to come together. And the vision for us is together, not the vision, but the approach is how together we build the capacity of our community in a welcoming, culturally responsive environment that champions trust, cultivates empathy, and empowers family and community engagement for the unlimited success of our students. And this was something that was written long before we received funding for community schools. It was something that we did together with our families, with our parents, with our community partners together. Collaborative leadership practices, so much can be said about this, and it's so very easy as districts to no one's fault again, right? But to be very procedural about this, that we have a school site council and we're checking off boxes, that we have an ELAC and we're checking off boxes. But are we truly authentically engaging our educational partners to be equal voices? So make sure that, that when we're talking about this, our community school site teams, our community school district steering committee is a big part of that work. And expand it and enrich learning. That's one of the 4 pillars, right? And we think about it, what the grant almost, it seems like what it's calling out is what happens before and outside of the classroom and after the classroom, those opportunities for our students. But for us, if we're talking about sustainability, what really comes down to is what's happening when our students are in the classroom, those 6 or 7 periods that they're with us throughout the day, and making sure that we are impacting what's happening, making instruction relevant for them, connecting the community to the classroom. And there's many ways, and Carlos will talk about the capstone a little bit, but again, just doubling down on that. And the NEA actually has this very outlined. So if you want to check out a little bit and read more about this, you can read more into that through the NEA's website. All right, Carlos.
All right, thank you, Kenny. All right, so that's entry point number 2, vision, mission, core values, your approach to community schools, your approach to family community engagement. That's what's going to drive systems and structures, which is entry point number 2. And so the next slide really focuses on, again, congratulations, you got the grant, or you're applying for the grant, you're going to get more funding. Go ahead, Kenny. And then, so now, what do we do, and how do we ensure that this continues to be our driver? LCAP. We all have a process that invites our families and community members and students in and staff in. Okay, how is your LCAP going to be connecting to the work that you're doing with community schools? How are you going to ensure that we're empowering our community schools work, the structures that are developed, and including that work in the next couple of years to come? Because that's how we're going to sustain the work, everybody, right? Goal 1 for us is college career life. Goal 2 is family and community engagement. Goal 3 is safe cultural developing of a positive school culture, right? So that LCAP should be on your radar to ensure that you're correlating and you're becoming connected to that as you're developing your journey through community schools. Again, integration. The second is what's happening in the classroom. And that's what Kenny mentioned in terms of the community schools approach, focus on learning. So the systems and structures on focusing on learning for us is centered around this 2 things, the 5 C's, which is what our teachers are developing their lessons around, which is where our students are reflecting around those 5 C's, character, compassion, critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration. We have documents, we have processes, we've fleshed out what each of those things mean, evidence of what it looks like in the classroom, and how can we tell if our students are moving in the right direction from beginning to really proficient in those areas. So reflection around that. Our drivers, and it's in our community schools wheel, that last ring is what's on the right, which is the career preparedness systems framework. Okay? So what that means is there's 3 components. The first is, and I will say the first and most important is the youth, voice, and purpose. Are you talking about engaging and having our students wanting to be here every single day in the classroom, every day, every period? They will be here if they're included in the experience of the day, the lesson. If they're seeing themselves in the experience of the performance task, the project-based learning, right? So youth, voice, and having them not only make a decision, but are empowered to do something outside of that classroom. 21st century skills, we talk about that. We in our school district, we define that as the 5 C's. And then technical skills that are connected to our mentoring experiences, dual enrollment, right? Those drivers are completely tied to our community schools wheel, our community schools approach. And so again, go ahead, Kenny. How are we honoring and how are we focusing on that, that systems and structures? How do we sustain the work, everyone? How do we ensure that people that are in the trenches are having time built into their day to ensure that they're able to develop, performance tasks, project-based learning, leading the learning, not the director, with the tie and behind the desk, but the teacher in the trenches is helping develop the experiences for students. And so in those three drivers, we have staffing, paid, pulled out of classroom part-time, or a stipend, or teachers on special assignment that are focused on developing the 5 C's, that are focused on developing those technical skills, the youth voice and purpose. In there is our community school teacher lead that is funded by a community school grant that is helping develop civic engagement, performance tasks tied to that street data that we collect from the needs and asset assessment. And they're developing these experiences for students, helping with professional learning across each of our sites. Every one of our school sites has a community school teacher lead. So that's teacher leadership, systems and structures. And then the next couple slides are very quick. Just go ahead, Kenny. This just shows how your org chart, how your systems at the site are inclusive of teachers and counselors and parents and students, right, around your cabinet or on your college and career access team. And then at the district level, there's a similar team that comes together to help build capacity so that that site at that team at the site level is able to be consistent across the district in terms of experiences that are being developed, that are consistent in capturing and developing your systems. Again, I like the according effect. You bring them together to build capacity at the district level, you send them off through the site. The capstone, again, we can spend 3 hours on just developing the capstone. How do we know our students are engaged and relevant experiences in the classroom? We are doing this in a systemized way, 7 through 12, by asking this, again, the performance tasks, the project-based learning, we're asking our students to reflect and to create an e-portfolio, a digital portfolio, where it captures artifacts that they're proud of. Not that I'm proud of as a teacher for the student. The student is saying, this experience was so valuable, I'm going to put it in my e-portfolio and I'm going to share about it. At the end of each year, our students are showcasing to a panel of community members, parents, community businesses, teachers, celebrating what they've learned and what they're most proud of. It's not just about the GPA or the transcript. It is more than that. And Araceli, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hello, good afternoon. Araceli Chavez, and I'm the manager for family community engagement. And yes, if you were wondering, Carlos was my principal when I was at Savannah.
Oh,
No,
well.
I'm kidding about that. So we talk a lot about systems and structures in our district, and we want our parents to have the same opportunities, the same experiences across the district. And with that, we have been able to develop within our department structures that allow for that. Where, if parents go to, an East Side school or West Side school, they're going to be able to participate in our Parent Leadership Academy, in parent learning walks. They're going to have opportunities to do coffee with the principal, parenting classes. They're going to be able to volunteer, and we're going to have the same services offered at the site, as well as decision-making spaces where they're going to be heard and their voices are going to be important. And we've been able to develop this through our department, through having monthly department meetings with our staff. Kenny mentioned earlier that we have family and community engagement specialists. We call them FACES for short. We have a full-time staff member at every one of our school sites. And these are bachelor degree level positions where they're able to develop curriculum, they're able to facilitate workshops, and really work on developing and building leadership capacity with our parents. And so we bring them together once a month. We provide a lot of professional learning. A lot of collaboration happens between our teams, and that's how they're able to then deliver the programming at their sites. And again, it's across the district. So if you go to the next slide, Kenny, we have developed what we call a guide. It's our scope and sequence. And it really serves as, we say like our department Bible, but really, you know, it helps us guide the work that we do. And everybody uses a scope and sequence. So, you know, we go by themes. So what should be happening in July? In July, we should be conducting a needs and assets assessment. We should be having, you know, orientations and volunteer recruitments at every one of our sites. So we're very clear about what happens each month, who should be, you know, taking the lead and who should be supporting. So if you see on the right, you know, hand side column, we have here, you know, who facilitates. Is it the faces? Maybe it's the community school coordinator that is supporting, and we also have a few liaisons scattered about. So it's very clear. And again, this is happening at every single school site. And again, it goes by theme. So, you know, we have a couple slides here that, you know, show some of those examples, right? So we really want to highlight here is that in order to create systemness, you know, you have to have, it has to come from, you know, the district, and it really has to trickle down to the sites. And we've been able to do that over time. It has taken time. We didn't have full-time faces, you know, up until a few years ago, right? So this didn't happen overnight, and it's been a lot of work. We've been able to get the voices of our community to really support the LCAP in this process. So our parents will, you know, come to our LCAP meetings, and I will guarantee you that our faces positions will not be touched at the next LCAP cycle, because they will heavily advocate to keep that position funded because it's that important, right? And so we've heard a lot of, you know, information. We want to just, you know, pause for a little bit and just see how you're feeling. And so we talked about our vision, mission, core values. We talked a lot about systems and structures that we have in place in our district. So based on what you heard, let's do just a quick waterfall activity. I know there's not a lot of time. Otherwise, we would have you unmute and share with us. But, you know, if you just use the chat, what is one thing that is resonating with you? What is one thing that maybe, you know, you're thinking about, maybe you're wondering about, something that maybe you're already, you know, doing at your district, or something that, you know, you think is important from what you heard. So 3, 2, 1, let's do a quick chat waterfall. And then we will have some time for Q&A at the end. Find the entry points. Student-centered. The importance of shared decision making. Okay, and we'll continue the chat. I know we don't have a lot of time left, and we want to, you know, talk about a couple more things. So I'm going to turn it back to Carlos.
Yep. All right, thank you, Araceli. Thanks, everyone. So these last 2 entry points will be just a little shorter, and then to make sure we get to the question. So entry point number 3. So you've developed your vision, your mission, your core values, systems and structures that are aligned. And then at the heart of the work, as we are in this business, is it student-centered? And not only, again, you know, students are being told what to do. One of our values is our students being empowered to make the decision. Is education working for them, or are they working for their education? And we're focusing on that student-centered voice. So again, as we uplift the student voice, along with our parents, along with our staff, our businesses, part of a huge component of community schools is capturing that street data. You know, that street data book, if you haven't read it, and I hope you have, if you haven't yet, order it today. It is phenomenal. It gives you so many ways to capture data that is relevant, that's real, that's not just you know, quantitative, but it tells stories. Our parents, our students' voices are valued. Part of that is this circle that we've talked about. So surveys, yes, we've captured surveys as part of the quantitative data, but also qualitative, the language and the questions that we ask. And then we honor our voices by digging into that through community voice circles. Staff and parents have their voice circles, students have voice circles, right? And then how quickly can we efficiently and effectively analyze the data? You know, we use our, you know, artificial intelligence to capture themes, to be able to lift up all of the different languages that we're capturing, because that's hard to do. But again, let's be efficient with our time so that we can create and look at themes to help us identify strengths, to help us identify those areas of growth and those next steps, because that's how we're going to take action. Well, in that process, again, needs and assets we can talk about. Our students are at the center of that work. Our teachers design performance tasks that use that street data that is collected to have experiential lessons in the classroom and outside of the classroom, so that our students can say, I am engaged, I want to be here, I am excited about what I'm going to learn, and I'm going to do something about it. That performance task, that project-based learning, I'm out in the community. Call to action is part of what they are learning in the classroom, and giving credit for assignments. And not just something that they do on their own, volunteering. It is part of the importance of that, curriculum in different classrooms. That experience is, as we mentioned, is captured and celebrated in this end of the year capstone, because they've captured these experiences along the way. And as you see in these pictures, these are part of those experiences that our students have had, and they share a simple, like a panel where students are sharing on what they're learning, but also the panel is able to ask questions. On the top right is board member Kathy Smith. She experienced this for the first time just last year, sitting with these students. Twice she came to tears because of the journey, the stories that our students talk about, their persistence, their grit. And through it all, although I've had experiences, I'm able to succeed because I was valued in the classroom, because I wanted to be here, and they gave me an opportunity to learn and own my learning. And that's the capstone, and that's how we center our student voice. Araceli, back to you.
And we were talking about entry points. And so, so important to us, and dear to my heart is family and community engagement. We've been doing so much work before we even got the community schools grant. We valued family engagement. We wanted our parents to be part of, everything that we do, and, be our co-creators in everything that we do. And so just a few pictures here, to highlight. Our parents have, come with us to national conferences, to present on the work that we've done with them, on the parent leadership academies that we've developed, on how they've become parent facilitators. You see there in the center, Mr. Dion Thomas, presenting curriculum to other parents. We have parents, that have, been to Sacramento and have been recognized for the work that they do. And again, it's not about bragging, where our parents are now, but it's really to let you know that, this can be done. It takes time. And at the heart of everything that you do is building relationships and building trust with their community. And how do we do that? It really takes, a lot of reflecting on our part. As a district, we really, want to look at where we're at. So this slide is very telling, and it helps us reflect. Are we a fortress school where, perhaps our doors are closed all the time and we don't have, bilingual material? We don't have bilingual staff in the front office that is, able and willing to help our families? Are we a come if we call, kind of place where, we're inviting parents to come on in, but really, it's just, we're doing it for compliance and checking the boxes? Are we an open door, school, or are we a partnership school? And are we authentically engaging our parents? So, just something to think about for you all, to see maybe where you're at and do some brainstorming with your teams. Something that we've done, I know Carlos talked about the needs and assets assessment process, but that has been really critical for us to build trust with our community, is that we didn't just do a survey and then that was it, right? We had this massive community schools needs and assets assessment that we did at the beginning of year one. And then we actually took the data and did something with it, right? So we brought parents in. If you go to the next slide, Kenny, we did the community voice circles. And so we really went deep with the data. We wanted to hear more. Parents, we heard you say loud and clear that, safety is a concern at your site. Tell us why. And we really got to hear from them. And this really, built that trust with their families. And it's not just, they're saying, okay, I'm going to complete the survey, but you're actually going to do something about it. And then we're taking the data, the street data that we're collecting from parents. And that's how we're bringing in programming and services based on what they're telling us that they want and they need at their sites. So this, we're at the end of our presentation. Again, we want to do some reflection with you before we leave. So just a couple questions for you all to take back and brainstorm with your teams. What components of the envisioning process is present for you in your learning organization? So again, talking about, making the vision real, right? What systems and structures are present for you in your learning organizations? So again, are there already systems in place that will help you, get this work done? What evidence do you have of building trusting relationships with the community? Is your family engagement, authentic? Are you an open door, district and site? So what are we doing to engage our broader community? And how are the students at the center of learning in a learning organization? So again, students should be at the core of everything that we do. And so, how are we making that happen? And then lastly, Carlos, do you want to share a little bit about the opportunity that we have with our Leading and Learning Lab?
Yes, I know Kenny's going to put that in the chat. Thank you so much, Kenny. And so I know this was a fire hose of it's kind of entry points. Love to have you lead and learn and be with us at one of our Leading and Learning Labs. We have a few more of it, coming our way next calendar year. So January, February, March. Is January? I think January is closed. I think close. Okay.
It's almost closed. We only have a few spots, but
Yeah.
February and April are still open. March is completely booked.
Okay, so February, April, and so yeah, this would be a day full of learning, visiting classrooms, going on a community tour. I see a couple familiar faces that you've been with us, so thank you for being with us. And so, if it's of interest to you, there's the QR code, and you also have the flyer in the chat. And so with that, thank you so much, everyone, for the opportunity. I don't know how much time we have for questions, if we have time for questions, but love to answer a few questions if we can.
Yeah, we have just a couple of minutes left. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing all of the great work that you've done. If everybody can join me in the chat and thanking this wonderful team, that would be appreciated. And it looks like we have a question from Ernesto. Take it away.
It wasn't so much a question, but more so just to thank you all. The information was so valuable. You're right. I think you compacted years worth of work into 40 minutes or less. So definitely leaves a lot of curiosity in my mind, but a lot of hope and motivation. I'm really inspired by your work, and just hope that we can duplicate a lot of the similar services in our area. So I just wanted to thank you for a phenomenal presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ernesto. Appreciate that. And yeah, please invite us over. Love to, help celebrate you all and your journey as well. Let's check you out. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? All right, I encourage you all to attend one of the sessions in Anaheim. As I said, it was transformative for our team. There's a lot to learn and a lot to see. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Junaway to close us out.
All right, thank you everyone for attending today's community of practice. We would love to get your feedback, so please feel free to scan the QR code. If you're not able to, we'll go ahead and drop the link in the chat. We love your feedback and your thoughts on the presentation and the information shared today. So if everyone could go ahead and take like 15 seconds to fill that out, that would be great. And then we'll wrap it up with some updates. Okay, if I could get the next slide with the updates. All right, just a few updates. As some of you may know, the annual progress report for Cohort 1 Planning Grant and Implementation Grant have set due dates. Planning Grant, LEA only, is due tomorrow, Thursday, November 30th. Implementation Grant, school site only, due on Thursday, November 30th. And Implementation Grant LEA level Consortium due on Friday, December 15th. Site visits for November were completed. Thank you very much for all schools and county offices who were able to accommodate the visits. We appreciate it. And then implementation grant cohort 3 applications are available. There's a link here on the slide for you to access that information. We'll see if we can also drop that in the chat. But there will also be application webinars hosted by the CDE, and you will also be able to register for those as well. The first one will happen on December 5th at 3:30, and the second will happen Wednesday, December 13th. Yes, most likely at the same time. All right, that concludes our presentation for today. Thank you so much for your time. And we hope to see you next month at the next community of practice, and have a great rest of your day.